Hey everyone, I'm TH Pine and welcome to Arena of Fate. What is Arena of Fate, you ask? I like to call it a victory point based Fairytale MOBA. It's getting developed by Crytek and is in a very close beta state right now, and this is what it looks like. So since this is a MOBA, it makes sense to first talk about how this game differentiates from other games in the genre, because as a new MOBA, you have a pretty hard time getting into the market right now to get any players, because it's not like the market is crowded with a lot of MOBA games, but all people are playing the same few MOBAs, so it's hard to get into the market right now as a new game, and therefore it's really important to be unique. So what makes this game unique? Well, the most important point is the victory point system. Let me explain it that way. You can win the game by destroying the enemy base, as you would in other MOBAs, but that's actually not a very common way. It's actually, in fact, so rare to do that I never saw it happen. Other people reported that they saw it happen, but I personally never had it happen before in a match. So how do you usually win the match? Well, you gain victory points by destroying towers or killing heroes or stuff like that. So you get 1 victory point for destroying a turret, you gain 2 victory points for killing the Titan, which is the jungle boss, and you gain 1 victory point per 7 kill points you get. And you gain kill points by either killing a hero or killing a jungle creep, or First Blood will grant you an extra kill point as well. You can see the kill points down here below the victory points. So we have 2 right now because we got First Blood. If we gain more, well, I mean we get 7, we gain 1 victory point. Or as mentioned, if we kill a tower or a Titan, we gain more victory points. When you reach 10 victory points, you win the match immediately. However, that's not the most common way to end the game either. So the most common way to end the game is actually, well, 20 minutes, because every match will end after 20 minutes. You see the game timer up here, it's counting down, because it's not counting how long the match is progressing so far, it's actually when it will, or, well, how long it will take to end the match. In 80 minutes, so the game is running for 2 minutes already, in 80 minutes the match will end, and whoever has more victory points wins. If both teams have the same amount of victory points, there is actually a draw. And that will create some weird situations for tournaments later down the line. But we don't have to bother with that right now, so yeah. Anyway, so that's the most unique mechanic the game has, I guess. And it has a big impact on how the game flows. Because, well, there are multiple things, obviously, to the 20-minute limitation. Well, it's easier to plan how long a match will go, because it will take max 20 minutes. You don't have to plan for 40 or 50 minutes or up to an hour, for like in certain other MOBAs. And also, the games are short and don't drag out. They don't get boring because, yeah, they will only take 20 minutes, and so they will not drag out, so that's good. And also it completely changes the flow of the game to a degree, at least in the last few minutes of the match. So the most interesting situations I had in this game so far were when, like, the timer says there's 1 or 2 minutes left until match ends, and one team had like 1 or 2 or maybe 3 victory points advantage, and the other one still, like, was behind but has a chance of catching up. But in another MOBA, they will probably try to play carefully, maybe find it, like, and waiting for a good moment to take the risk and go for it now. In this game, you can't do that because there's this timer ticking down. When this timer will reach 0, the match is over. If you're behind, you lost. So whatever happens, you have to make a move now. Whatever that move might be. So if you have 1 minute left, you're behind, you will make a move. You will take a big risk, and that creates a lot of really intense and interesting situations in the game. And that was the most fun I had with the game so far, when we got one of those really intense moments in the last 2 minutes when the team which was behind was trying to steal Titan or whatever, trying to turn the game around, or sneaked up on the enemy team and tried to wipe them and just force a big team fight and stuff like that. I'm like, when I play MOBAs, the thing I want to see is team fights. So I really like this because it encourages big team fights in the last few minutes, and that's always cool to see, for me at least. So I really like this mechanic. And, well, what's the other big uniqueness of the game? Well, that's the cast of characters, I guess. I called it a Fairytale MOBA earlier. That's not entirely correct, but it was the quickest way of explaining it in, like, 1 word. The characters you see are not new characters. Crytek did not invent those characters. They borrowed them from other stories, I want to call it. So there are characters from fairy tales, like Red Riding Hood, for example. There are characters from legends, like Sherlock Holmes, which I'm playing right now here, or Robin Hood, for example. Frankenstein's monster. There is Jack the Ripper. There's Tesla. There's stuff like Hippolyta. We're playing against Hippolyta here from Midsummer Night's Dream. It's pretty crazy, and a bunch of stuff I don't know, actually. There's Alice from Alice in Wonderland. Then there's Chupacabra, I never heard before, but it's apparently some horror legend from Mexico. So that's a weird one. And there's a bunch of other really cool characters. And while those characters might not like fit the taste of everyone, but that's always the case, right? Whatever you do, the approach of taking those known characters has multiple advantages. One is that you get a very diverse cast of characters, of very interesting characters, because all those characters were designed before to be a main or at least an important character to a different story, to their own story. So all of those characters are fairly in-depth, and they're all very different because they come from very different stories and worlds and whatnot. And so you get a very interesting, in-depth, diverse cast of characters, which is really cool. And on top of that, the characters are pretty recognizable because people know those characters. They don't have to learn who is this character. They know who it is. They know who is Sherlock Holmes, right? And they know who is Alice from Alice in Wonderland or Red Riding Hood or whatever. And that's really cool. But still, at the same time, there are a bunch of characters you don't know because there's so many legends from all over the world you don't know, and important people and stuff like that. And so therefore there's still this aspect of finding new characters and learning about them, and also about the characters you don't know. Maybe you're inspired by this game to learn more about them, because you know them already, but you don't know them in detail or in depth. And so yeah, I think that aspect of like finding new characters and stuff is still there, while having the advantage of having a very diverse and interesting cast of characters. So that's pretty cool. Okay. I want to talk more about in-game mechanics, but before we do that, I want to talk about the beta state right now, because that's actually a big point. It's really hard to get into the game right now. I mentioned it's a closed beta, but it's not only that. So first of all, you need a beta key to get into the closed beta, and they don't give them out freely right now. I think you will have a chance if you're going to Gamescom next month or whenever that is. They probably will give out some there, but besides that, it's kind of hard to acquire them right now. But even if you get a beta key, you're not going to be able to play right now, because you have to be a Maven to play. So Mavens are supposed to be a group of very proactive community members, like good community members, which are friendly and helpful and stuff like that, and are dedicated testers and give good feedback and stuff like that. And to become a Maven, you actually have to apply. You have to write an application, not a long one, but you have to write why you think you're a good Maven in a few sentences. And yeah, if they accept your application, you become a Maven, and then you will be able to play when the server is open, because there are actually certain time slots where you can play. Those will change, so we'll not actually mention them here because that's pointless information, but they will change over time, and there will be a closed beta phase at some point where everybody who has a beta key will be able to play. There will also be more beta keys going out later on. There will be an open beta phase at some point, and this game will eventually release, and everybody will be able to play it, obviously. So there is still hope, but right now it's kind of hard to get into the game. I just wanted to mention that. Also, the time slots are one of the reasons this is actually not live. Usually in the series I have live gameplay, but well, right now the server's down, so I can't. And the other reason is I have a hard time giving you proper commentary while playing a MOBA, because MOBAs are pretty engaging and take a lot of focus from me, so I cannot give you like in-depth commentary. I do live stream this game from time to time, so I can do some commentary, but it's not like as focused as I'm doing it right now. So okay, let's talk about more game mechanics. There's no meta progression that affects the game or the in-game mechanics so far. This might change because they're still introducing new core mechanics, because the game is still in a pretty early state of development. But there is no, like, the progression right now, there's progression, meta progression, but it's not affecting the in-game mechanics. So what are the in-game mechanics? Well, first of all, when you start the game, you have to pick a role and 2 scaling traits. So the role is something that gives you a special passive ability. For example, I have Sweeper right now, which you can see on the symbol down here. That's the Sweeper role symbol. And it gives you skill haste, which is cooldown reduction, and I forgot what the other thing was. Usually it gives you some unique things. For example, one role gives you more damage when you're under the enemy tower, or more damage when you're under your tower, or more movement speed while you're out of combat, stuff like that. things like that. And those roles kind of define your playstyle, more or less. Also, you have scaling traits. So those scaling traits will give you stats over time. Every time you level up, the trait will become stronger and give you more stats. So stats like health and strength, which increases your auto attack damage, for example, and stuff like that. And you can pick those, or skill haste to get less cooldowns. And those traits, as mentioned, will scale up over time because they're scaling traits. So you pick 2 scaling traits and a roll at the beginning of the game. And when your game progresses, you gain level by getting XP, obviously. You gain XP as... you use XP by leveling up as you would in other MOBAs, but you gain them a little different. So we just won a match because the enemy surrendered, so you can see the post-match screen here. And but I will show you another match where I actually play as Blackbeard, the pirate, the famous pirate captain. So let's talk about XP, right? So you use XP as you would in others, well, use quote unquote. You gain levels from it. But you gain it as it would be gold in other MOBAs, because there's actually no gold in the game. So you just level up, but you gain XP by last hitting, killing heroes, killing towers, stuff like that, and you gain more XP by last hitting rather than just letting the creeps just die. If the creeps die and you don't last hit, you will still get XP, but it will be less than if you would actually actively last hit the creep. So last hitting is not like fundamental necessary, but it's important nonetheless. Also, there's XP sharing in a lane. So if you're solo laning, your XP will be you will get 30 XP per last hit. That's actually the same amount as you would be with 2 people. So if you have 2 people in a lane, you will still get 30 XP. But if you have more than 2 people in the lane, this amount will go down. So if with 3 people, I think you gain 20 or 15 XP. It's not actually. I think it's not actually linear. So I think you get 15 XP with 3 people in lane. The most efficient way of having people in lane, or people being in lane, is 2 people per lane. You have 5 people, 3 lanes, so one has to go solo. Usually that's 2-1-2 right now. That might change later on. It depends on the meta. Depends on the meta, I guess. So yeah, you gain XP, you gain level, and when you gain level, you can pick either a trait or an ability, like a unique ability. And so, yeah, every time you level, you gain one thing. Oh, I should maybe tell you what you don't get per level. You don't get skill level ups. Because, yeah, let's talk about skills first, because that's actually more important. Sorry, I'm switching topics a little bit. But let's talk about the skills first. So, as in, like, League of Legends, for example, you have 3 base skills, 1 ultimate, and a passive. But you will have them unlocked from the start. You don't have to level them. You can't level them. They will just be there. You can use them. You don't have to bother about anything besides just using them whenever you want to. And have the mana, and they're not on cooldown, obviously, but you don't have to think about when to level or which skill to prioritize and stuff like that. So what do you get for leveling? Well, you gain stats like your health will increase and stuff like that, but also you will get, as mentioned, a trait or an ability. So down here you will see this happening right now because I leveled. You see, I have 3 basic powers down here, 2 specials, or slots for basic powers, 2 slots for specials, and 1 slot for an ability. And in a recent patch, they added another slot for a hero-specific ability. So those are all generic. All heroes can access them. So the power, but the hero-specific one is only for this hero. So the powers are flat stat traits. So they give you plus health or plus skill haste, which is cooldown reduction, or whatever. This one gives plus mastery, which will increase the damage of my skills, for example. And then there are the special ones, which give you more unique things, like, what do they do? It's hard for me to think of one right now without looking them up, but one of them gives you more damage against heroes that are stunned, for example. One of them gives you more damage on heroes that are on low HP, if I remember correctly at least. Other give you other things like crowd control reduction and stuff like that. And they're pretty diverse, and you can pick 2 of them. And then there is the ability, which is similar to a summoner spell in League of Legends I want to compare it to. It's an active ability you can use. And there are a bunch of different ones. There's no blink. That's important. So, yeah, we don't have a flash or anything like that. But there are a bunch of different ones. There's a battle charge, which gives you and your teammates around a movement speed buff and a stat buff as well. And what else? There's a CC cleanse. Then there's an invincibility skill. And a few others. and slow, for example, and stuff like that. So you gain those, and then, as mentioned in the most recent patch, they added this hero-specific traits. So everything I explained so far, where traits or skills and stuff, everyone can pick, no matter what hero. But the hero-specific ones are specific to that hero, obviously. So they will change your skills. For example, Blackbeard has one. You see this bomb I throw around. He has one, which is actually pretty broken right now, but they have to fix that. When you throw the bomb, it will actually spawn like small thingies on the ground, and they explode as well if you move into them. And they deal tons of damage. It's pretty crazy. So yeah, that's kind of broken right now. But stuff like that, like, yeah. Another one for Blackbeard, for example, is you see me using this healing ability, which is a channeling ability. And there is one trait that makes you CC immune while you're channeling that skill, which is interesting as well. And yeah, stuff like that. So that's about skills and stuff. Yeah, skills and traits and leveling up. And I guess there's my biggest complaint with the game, because it doesn't have like a... You can't do a lot of math crafting with this, which is a personal... I think I personally enjoy doing, like, because there's not a lot of items to buy or anything along those lines. You're stuck with those traits you pick, which obviously you can put some thought in, and but you cannot do like big math Excel sheets like I used to do, or something along those lines. So that's a little sad, but the game is still... it still feels very interesting to me. It plays and controls very well, in my opinion. It's pretty snappy. Sometimes it's a little hard to click on a creep, I feel, but that might just be me. Being shit at the game. But besides that, it feels very smooth, very slick. Everything controls very good. The characters react very quickly and snappy. So I enjoy that quite a bit. And yeah. The map looks fairly regular with 3 lanes. It's just flipped if you compare it to League of Legends or Dota or whatever, because it's just horizontally. The jungle is probably the thing that differentiates the map the most from other MOBAs. So the jungle has actually timed, well, events, kind of. So at the 5-minute mark, which we just saw here, because we're, like, as you can see, there's 5 minutes over, 5.5. The first jungle creeps will spawn. Before that, there will be no enemies or no creeps in the jungle. So there's one camp spawning up here, which we just killed, or the enemies, I'm not quite sure, which will give you XP, which give you XP, obviously, but also will spawn, like, bigger creeps for the next, I think, 3 waves in all your lanes. So that's basically super creeps. Yeah, we got it apparently, because there's the big creep, as you can see over there. And so those will help pushing for the next 3 waves. The camp will not respawn, so this is a one-time event. The other one, probably the more important one at the 5-minute mark, is the camp at the bottom of the jungle. And this will unlock the artifact, which is Thor's hammer, which gives a buff, a permanent buff. Well, not permanent, but it's not timed. You can lose the buff by getting killed. Then the killer will get the buff. And the buff increases your damage output. So it's pretty good for... You usually want to have that on your damage dealer. It's pretty strong. And it's an important thing to fight about. So, and that's the thing, it never will go away. So once the artifact is captured, it will always swap between heroes. Whoever killed, like, was the last one who killed the last owner of the buff. So 5 minutes later, at the 10-minute mark, the vision shrines will activate, which are there are 4 vision shrines. Here, and over here on the map. You can I'm pointing out on the map, and those will be guarded initially by a monster as well. And if you kill it, you gain the vision, or you gain control over the vision shrine, which just will reveal a pretty big area for you. And the enemies can come and try to conquer the vision shrine by auto-attacking it a few times. And if they succeed at doing so, it will be locked for a few seconds, like 5 to 10 seconds, I think. And after that, you can try to recapture it. And those are fairly important, so they create a lot of fights as well, because people are fighting over the vision shrines. And then, last but not least, at the 50-minute mark, so when there are 5 minutes left on the timer up here, then the Titan will spawn up here where the camp was earlier for the super crepes. And the Titan is just your big bad jungle boss, which gives 2 victory points if you defeat him. And that's obviously can be very game deciding to get him. But he's actually pretty strong, so it's really dangerous to take him out. Maybe he's a little too strong right now, because usually nobody goes for it if they did not really like completely wipe the other team, or have like a huge lead because it's fairly risky. So I think that there's some balancing required there. But the game is in a very early stage, so balancing is definitely a thing that's gonna happen, hopefully. Or there's still time for balancing, let's put it that way. So, yeah, what else? Is that all the mechanics? That's most of the mechanics, at least. I might have missed something small here or there, but, well, yeah, that's Arena of Fate, for you. It's really, I really like it. Will it be successful? I don't know. I couldn't tell. It's, as mentioned at the beginning of the video, it's really hard to get into the MOBA market as a new competitor, because everyone is playing League of Legends, Heroes of the Storm, or Dota 2, obviously. So there are a few other niche MOBAs that are kind of successful. Astronauts, for example, is still doing okay. Heroes of New Earth is still doing okay, apparently, so that's interesting. I mean, even Strife still has a few thousand players, believe it or not. And so there are a few others, but not a lot of them. There are a lot of MOBAs that failed or got closed down. Dawngate, Infinity Crisis, Dead Island Epidemic, or whatever it's called. Then there was this one, like, pretty dark age themed one. I forgot how it was called. And then there was one horror themed one. I'm not sure if that's still alive. There's a bunch of others, but none of them are really successful besides the 3 big ones. And even those, like, have pretty big differences in terms of success. So yeah, it's really hard to get into the market, and I couldn't tell you if this game will make it. What I can tell you is I see the potential of it becoming a really great game, especially becoming a really amazing esport, because I think thanks to the victory point system, this game will be a lot of fun to actually like watch. Watch on a high competitive level with good commentary. I feel that will be really intense and really interesting, especially in those clutch moments in the last few minutes where it gets really intense, where people are taking risks to turn around the match in the last minute or last few seconds even sometimes. So I feel like the game has a big potential there, and like it fulfills at least one requirement of becoming successful in the market right now. It's super unique. It has, like, it's not extremely unique. There are others. Oh, I completely forgot to mention, like, the more 3D MOBAs like Smite, and then what's it called? The new one, not Paragon. Is it Paragon? It might be Paragon. Stuff like that. So it's fairly unique. It's not looking super unique, which might be a problem. That was one of the problems Strife had. Strife was fairly unique at the beginning, but it was pretty subtle. People wouldn't recognize it. But this one is a little bit more obvious. While the gameplay looks similar to other MOBAs and it controls the same way and stuff like that, it still has this big one unique factor of there's only 20 minutes to play, and after that whoever has more victory points wins. And they're victory points, what? But that's pretty unusual for MOBAs, right? And the cast of characters is actually pretty cool as well. So those are definitely 2 points that speak in favor of the game. But there's so much more to make a MOBA successful. So yeah, I will not like go out and say this game will definitely be successful or whatever, because yeah, it's actually not that super likely. But then again, at least it's backed by a very serious and experienced company, Crytek, with a decent marketing budget. I hope so, at least. And so there's a chance. And so far the developers seem to be aware of the fact that it's important to make a good first impression, because they actually closed down the game for almost a year now. So it was playable, like, yeah, sometime last year, summer last year, I think. And a bunch of people played it, and then they realized, we cannot actually keep the player base up. So they actually closed it down and continued developing, completely reworked the back end of the server and stuff like that. And now it's back again, but only in a very limited well, it's very limited because it's only available to the Mavens, which is a very small group of people so far. So yeah, it feels like the developers realized that it is very important to release a very published or make a really good first impression by releasing a very very polished and yeah, high quality game. So I have my hopes up. That doesn't mean it will be successful, but I hope it will be, because it's a lot of fun to me anyway. So yeah, if you want to see more of this, I'm streaming this sometimes. Well, I try to be regularly, but it's kind of hard to fit it in my schedule from time to time, especially because there are very limited time slots available. So that's a problem. But yeah, I stream it from time to time. You can follow me on Twitch. Link is in the description below, or follow me on Twitter. I post there as well. And actually, if you're subscribing here, that's enough as well, because I will put a video up here that I'm streaming every time I stream as well. So it's hard to miss if you follow me anywhere. So yeah, if you're interested in that, feel free to follow me one way or the other. And I will definitely put out more Arena of Fate content in the future. Probably not for the next few weeks or months, depending on how the game develops, because there's not much content I could do right now. Like, hero guides don't make much sense, because not a lot of people can play them. There's no shoutcasting to be done right now, because there is no observer mode and no competitive match to be played. So that's not a thing that's gonna happen right now. But I will put out some Arena of Fate content eventually, definitely, when the game probably gets into the next beta phase or something along those lines. So yeah, let's wrap it up, shall we? So it's called Arena of Fate. It's a Fairytale, victory point based Fairytale MOBA. I like it quite a bit. I will put some links in the description below where you can check it out and stuff like that, and read something about the Maven program as well. And yeah, thanks a lot for watching. As mentioned, if you like this video or interested in Arena of Fate, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I am TH Pine. Thanks a lot for watching. I said that already. Anyway, it's important, so I said again, thanks a lot for watching. Have fun and see you next time.